Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever the hell it is to you right now. Welcome to Blue Collar Hockey Talk. My name's Scott Feeney. I'm with Wes Atkinson. We're going to be talking hockey. We're going to be talking Toronto Maple Leafs. If you haven't tuned into this show before, you've got two very passionate hockey fans here. We want to hear from you guys. We want to hear what you're thinking about, whether it's an upcoming draft, whether it's the games, whether it's a player, whatever. Just talk to us. Leave comments, save, thanks, whatever. I don't care what you do. Wes, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. It's awesome time of year in the hockey season. I love it when we're like a third of the way in and the teams are really kind of separating themselves a bit, and we get to look forward to games that really mean something. Like last night's game between the Leafs and the Oilers could have big repercussions on the standings, right?
Oh, big time, man. And I mean, like we were saying, I was pretty nervous going into that game. Before we go into any of that stuff, Wes, I want to give a little shout out. I don't know how many people tune in to Tim and Sid. If you're like me, I've watched them for well over a decade. I know they've been doing it 17 years, but I've been a steady listener for a good solid 10. And I mean, I know there's other good programs that are out there. You got the Overdrive. You've got Jay and Dan, or had Jay and Dan. I'm sorry about that. But I think what it was, and I always got asked, why do I listen to Tim and Sid? Why do I not watch the Overdrive? I'd really like the Overdrive. And you know what? I do. I think it's great, but I figured it out. And it took the last week really to figure it out, but I did. Tim and Sid connected to the listeners, like on a personal note, just different than I've seen anyone else. And that's something that I want to know. I want to be inspired by that because it has inspired me. We're doing a podcast right now. And I mean, I liked hearing about what they were up to, what their day was like, how whatever they were talking about affected them on a day to day. They spoke from a different place, and I liked that. It wasn't talking like a broadcaster of any sort. Like, it was cool. You know what I mean, Wes?
Yeah, man, they were really good at communicating how they felt about things. Like I love their passion that would come through about, say, like CIS sports. Man, they tracked Canadian university sports better than anyone I know. Like the CIS football, I know they were really big into that. And it was always interesting to hear their takes on sports that weren't always top of mind in Canada and in Toronto. I don't know how you felt about that one.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. Sorry about that. I got two little kids here, on a personal level, like I was saying. So once in a while I get interrupted, and I don't mean to. I didn't mean to. But yeah, man, I know what you mean. I know what you're saying. But I feel like we should maybe go into hockey, I guess. Um, you brought it up to me, man. I didn't catch that clip until a little bit ago. How about Jordan Binnington?
Man, I love that guy's passion. He let in 4 goals on 16 shots, and he got pulled from the last Saturday night's game against San Jose. He clearly was upset, and I recommend anyone go check out the highlights. And on his way off the ice, he got into it with a few of the San Jose players. He shoved Radom Samik on the bench, and then got into the face of Erik Karlsson, and then went after goalie Devin Dubnyk. But there was no goalie fight, so I was a little disappointed about that.
Weird time to pull the goalie too. I mean, I didn't watch the game. I didn't see the goals. I mean, when you need to pull a goalie, I guess. But it was 4-3. I mean, he was mad. The shots were pretty close. The game was close. It was only halfway through the game. But yeah, man, he was pushing and shoving everyone in his path along his way. I mean, what an exit. That was it was pretty funny to watch.
Ben, I love stuff like that because we're talking about a game we clearly don't have a lot of passion towards, and it's entertaining, and it made me look it up and read about it and see the personality of the players coming out a bit more, because like that to me is what sports is all about. Like we're both passionate Leaf fans, but I want to see something unique from another game every now and then as well. And there are so many games that go by that we don't even talk about. We don't even review, look at, whatever until it gets later in the season. Maybe playoffs are coming around. But it's good every now and then to hear about a character like Jordan Binnington.
Yeah, big time, man. Big time. I don't know if we want to maybe jump right into some Leaf talk here, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, like maybe if you don't mind, we're gonna change it up a little bit here. We're gonna read West Coast Tim's thoughts right now, if that's cool. I was chatting it up a lot with him last night, and man, I couldn't agree with this more. But anyway, here we go. Jimmy Vesey experiment started off with promise, but he really was given a golden opportunity with some gifted line mates, but has fallen well short. One has to wonder how long Keith will play him, when Robertson can be called up, or likely is Galchenyuk when Galchenyuk will be called up in a week or another to try a diamond in the rough 2.0. Anyways, I mumbled my way through that a bit, but I mean, I think we get the point on that. That's a good point, man. Like Jimmy Vesey, uh, in that game, like last week when we won 7-3, he was a -3. That's hard to pull off. That's
Yep.
tough to do.
Yeah, he just seems to be, you know what I mean? Like he's not, he just doesn't have any chemistry right now going with anyone.
Right.
Like I know he had a good goal, a good assist last night with Spezza, but plays like that are too far and few between, in my opinion.
No, I agree. I mean, I was excited to see him come in, but chemistry, chemistry, chemistry. And if it doesn't click, it doesn't click. I mean, there's some players that click and some that don't. Tyson Barrie was a prime example of that last year. You know, some click and some don't. Doesn't mean that they're a bad hockey player or whatever. Given with that said, he's running out of chances. You know.
Yeah, I do think in his defense, like man, the top two lines of the Toronto Maple Leafs are stacked, right? That's where majority of our offense should come from. It's not like he's getting a lot of power play time. You know, he doesn't get the prime opportunities. But man, that game, like you said last week, when he was a -3, that stuff like that really, really does stand out. And it's just too bad the scoring isn't kind of trickling down through the rest of the lineup.
100%. I mean, like we're looking for these diamond in the roughs, you know, and VC, that experiment's going to run short because you got them grooming Galchenyuk right now, and they're doing it in a different way than they did with VC. Maybe it's lesson learned. You know, they put VC straight in, no real practices or exhibitions. You know, and he didn't jive with the system. And that may very well be why they've got Galchenyuk down below. I like it because then he gets a chance to see, okay, this is what we're trying to do, because the Marlies replicate the Leafs systems, you know, and that for this exact reason. And like, yeah, like Galchenyuk, he'll come up and he'll have his shot. I'm not saying I have no idea how he's going to do, but he's the next guy to get VC's shot.
Yep, and I do think too we have to look at the players that look good even when they're not scoring, right? Like last night, Barbanoff had a great game. He didn't register any points, but he looked good, and VC really hasn't stood out for the positive in a positive light in a long, long time. And hey, man, it's so nice as a Leaf fan to be talking about a third line winger as the biggest problem on the team right now. You know, because usually we're like, we need a number 2 defenseman, we need a number 1 center, we need a number 1 goalie. So to be kind of critical of a third line winger on a 1-year contract, it's quite a nice thing to worry about.
Buddy, it's great. We're in such a different position this year. You know, we don't have to get the falling in love with players that are on our third and fourth lines. Like we got guys that are trying to make a great team, and you know, anybody that wants to cry about the divisions, you know, and what are you going to do when you play this team? Like, oh, well, you haven't played them. Well, guess what, folks? Boston hasn't played Connor McDavid or Austin Matthews either. You know, Vegas hasn't played against them or Crosby. Every division's got it, you know. But anyways, I don't know why I went on that tangent. But anyways, it was nice to see a few players come back, man.
Yeah, it was, man. There was Thornton was back and Muzzin was back, you know, and God, I can't remember what's his name. Campbell came.
We got Campbell's back in. I mean, the stud of the night.
Yeah, it was awesome to see him pitch a 30 save shutout like that. He is such a different goalie in my opinion, man. Like it seems that the stress isn't there with him, but he's confident in what he does.
Well, and that's exactly it. I mean, there's two totally different goalies in Anderson and Campbell on how they carry themselves. Anderson is ultra focused. Try not to ride any emotions high or low. Great save or bad goal against. Same emotion, you know? And I mean, hell, he went and did training for exactly that. The Leafs had him go to Navy SEAL training, if I'm not mistaken, or to the Marines or whatever the hell it was. And it was 3 years ago, and he was doing stress tests to try to see if he was able to stay calm through like extreme intense situations. And he nailed it. He was bang on with it. And you got Campbell, where he doesn't have that. Like he's got a focus, but he's that guy that you enjoy playing a game with, that you cheer with, and you just get pumped and your emotions can go over the top. But he's able to stay focused while having this excitement about the game. You know, like he pats guys on the back, and guess what? That is a trickle effect. Like I saw a play last night where he patted Muzzin on the back after a save, and Muzzin's reaction was awesome. You know, like he didn't just get patted on the back and skate away. He turned And he put his hand up on Muzzin's head and he was like, yeah, buddy, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, that's chemistry and I love it. And I'm not taking anything against Anderson. I'm just saying I really like what Campbell brings.
I do too, and I think it's such a nice relief as a Leaf fan to see guys that have different, um, like characters and are different, like just different people, because you don't want the same type of guy in the room all the time, right? And it's a good mix of having the veterans as well as like the young guys that are super serious and really want to win, and look at those veterans that haven't won and thinking like, we can't let this slip away. Like, we need to win now and be the best we can be right now.
Buddy, I saw a picture there, and we were talking about it earlier. You want three guys that haven't won it and have a chance at trying to do it, and they don't. Do you not think they realize this is their shot, and maybe their last shot, quite likely, actually is some of their last shots. There was a great picture that I want framed on my wall because there was a caption on it. Somebody had made a meme or whatever. 3 years ago, if you got told you saw these guys or you saw this picture, what would you say? And it was a great picture. You had Thornton in the middle, Jason Spezza on his right, and John Tavares on his left. You have three guys that have never won a cup in that picture that are class acts. All three are character guys. All three of them know what the mission is on hand. And hell, it's fun, man. Like, it's awesome seeing those guys on the team. It's wicked seeing this chemistry. And you're right, man. They know it's now. It's go time.
Yeah, it is awesome. And so, how do you think the Leafs responded with no Matthews though last night?
It's pretty surprising how the Leafs are able to play. And I mean, Leafs are a way better team with Matthews in the lineup. So don't ever misconstrue what I'm about to say. But the Leafs really do have a way, and this shows character right through the whole group. They have a way of being able to play with him not in the lineup to weather the storm, let's say. 4-0 win in the most complete game that I've seen them play this year. From goalie to defense. We didn't take a penalty, man. Mm-hmm. Not one. That's awesome. Against a fast-flying team like Edmonton that draws penalties. We didn't draw one, or we didn't take one. I think that it was awesome to see the team be able to step up. It was awesome to see William Nylander. And you know what? If you really want to say what push comes to shove, Willie Nylander started stepping up the moment that Matthews got hurt the game before. Mm-hmm. Because he got hurt with some time left to play, and the Leafs hadn't scored, and then Nylander potted 2. And then he comes back and he opens the scoring again. Hats off. I mean, I said I really hope that somebody like JT or Nylander can step up. They are. Nylander's putting the puck in the net. We're seeing why he is who he is. He is a gifted player who doesn't show up every single night, but when he does, he's great. So take that as you will. I don't know. But Kessel was the same way, and we ran him out of town for him to go and hoist the cup twice. Am I wrong to say that?
Oh, man, you're absolutely right, man. Kessel kind of got a rough ride from Leaf fans. Like, he's not an alpha guy, man. Like, he was slotted perfectly in Pittsburgh to be on the second or third line and just contribute when he can. Like, he looked amazing in the playoffs with Pittsburgh those years. Like, he really, in my opinion, he should have won the Conn Smythe one of the years that Crosby won it. He was the best Penguin start to finish in the playoffs, even though Crosby had a better final. And the thing is, with the Conn Smythe, you can have a really good finals and still win it and not kind of have a good playoff start to finish, right? But that's here nor there. But yeah, it's such a luxury to have a player of Nylander's like skill and ability, and he doesn't have to play on the first line.
I know. I love it. I think it's great. He frustrates me sometimes. Okay, I won't lie about that. But I also try to appreciate what it is and what his role is on that team. And I also appreciate that we have a coach that's watching when the effort level's not up to snuff. Mm-hmm. You have to have a little bit of trust in these guys that have been hired because that's their profession. We're just armchair folks. We just watch things and cheer and, down a beer whenever we're, watching a game or whatever the hell you're doing. But Keefe is, I'm impressed so far here to see how he's getting these guys to have a room where they trust each other. Mm-hmm. They back each other up. Um, I mean, you don't hear any ill talk at all throughout that dressing room by the sounds of it. And if it does, it stays in the room where it should be.
Yep, and
Um,
I do think too, like he's doing a very good job juggling the lines because you think of the injuries. I get the Leafs aren't like leading the league in man games lost, but they're still around like 60 man games lost since the beginning of the season with injuries, and these are guys that are all throughout the lineup from Thornton to Simmons to Muzzin. Like there's so much line juggling going on that I got to give Keefe credit to be able to get the team to play this well with that many injuries throughout the season.
well, big time. And I mean, I don't know if you saw how he kind of ran the lines out last night, but the ice time's interesting. The ice time's interesting. You know, I like how they like you say with the line shuffling, like Thornton being on the ice. Every night you'll see that his line mates have a couple more minutes than him, and maybe it's penalty kill, but we didn't take any penalties, so that's off the table.
Mm-hmm.
The line mates here are okay. Sorry, here, buddy. What do you need, bud? Oh, okay. Come on in. Sorry about that. See, maybe I could take a half a second here. I'll introduce you to my youngest girl here. So Ellis here is the youngest in the Feeney family, and she's. Do you watch the Leafs, buddy?
Yes.
Do you have a favorite player?
No.
No. Did you watch the game last night?
Mm.
Do you want to say hi to anybody? No. All right. Well, there's my girl Ellis. That's the newest of the Leaf fans in the bunch here. So anyway, where were we, buddy?
We were just talking about the line shuffling and how Keefe's doing a good job in Thornton, how he was only playing, he gets less ice time, but I'll jump in there. He's getting less ice time because I think he's getting more situational ice time. Like Keefe isn't putting Thornton in for a defensive face-off. Like he's giving Thornton more opportunities on the offensive zone.
Yeah, no, and that makes total sense, you know. And while I'm looking at the minutes here, like we said, Keefe is putting out players that he wants to put over the boards when he can trust them over the boards. Do you realize? Well, I guess he played with those boys. Nylander was only on the ice for 13 minutes, so that's not a lot of ice, you know. And he's got 3 goals in 2 games. And you want to know something? Maybe that makes sense. Maybe it makes sense to put him on the ice when you know his strengths are going to be at its best, and maybe he'll start earning those extra minutes.
What I noticed about Nylander last night, and maybe this is just against the Oilers, is Keefe tries to have him not play against McDavid or Draisaitl, and between those two guys, they're playing half the game, right? Because if you know Nylander is a defensive liability, you're not going to put him against the Art Ross defending winner and then Connor McDavid. So you're going to have him pick his spots with Nylander, which is good coaching. I will say, like there was the Marner goal last night. I watched a replay of it, and we can't show the video because we don't own it. But man, Riley has the puck in his zone. He makes eye contact with Thornton, passes it right up. Thornton then bumps it up to Tavares, who passes it to Marner for the goal. It is a thing of beauty, and for sure, everyone should take a look at it because you can just see they have, that communication just by looking at each other.
That's special. That's special. And I mean, that's what we've been waiting for a long time. It's here. It's here now, and I'm enjoying it.
Yep, that's it. So how do you think they're going to do against the Oilers in the next for the next 2 games?
I think the Oilers are going to come back hot, and
Yep.
I think they're going to come back heavy, and I think it's going to be a hard game. Wes, I did not see us winning the first game 4-0. We had said it in the last show. This was going to be a hard 3-game set. It's still going to be a hard full 3-game set. And the first game we showed up with our very best and most complete game of the season. Exactly what we needed to do. Now, can you replicate that? Can you put that game in a bottle and say, here, we're going to do that again because it's the magic formula? Well, if you can, you're a Stanley Cup champ. Let's see how many times we can do it. Yeah, man, I think the Leafs are going to come up against an extremely hard opponent in the Edmonton Oilers in game 2.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think the Oilers are going to take one of these 2 games, and I think they're going to take it handily, like a 5-2 win or 6-4 win or something like that, because McDavid only got 1 shot last night. I don't see that happening again. And Draisaitl, I
No,
think,
man.
only had 2. Like, no chance that's going to happen again. If the Leafs are going to take some penalties and then they're going to get burned, and it's just like the players you're playing against, they're good players.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like how many periods do you think you can actually keep the 2 MVP candidates of Draisaitl and McDavid off the score sheet?
Mm-hmm.
And like you say, like they did a great job, the Leafs did, on holding them to the outside. Can you do it again in this next game? I hope so, but I'll tell you, as hard as the Leafs look at video to try to keep McDavid down, we also have a very great hockey player, or they have a great hockey player in McDavid that's watching that same video, wondering, well, what do I have to do different? And he has the skills to do it different. So let's get ready and let's see what it's going to be, because my gut says we're going to have a highlight reel goal to watch from him, but I hope we can still win the game.
Mm-hmm. Like, I would be happy if the Leafs can just get 2 more points out of these two more games, you know, and like 4 out of 6, I'll take it any day of the week. The good thing with winning that first game is no matter what happens for the rest of the series, the Leafs are still going to be in first place in the division when the series.
The pressure's off. The pressure's off. Like there's no actual deep pressure in it. Where if you lost the first 2 games and we're going into game 3, there's a lot of pressure to that. You just feel it. You're right. Now we can go onto the ice where Edmonton thinks we can't completely lose touch with first place. So they're going to have their sticks tighter. I still think they're going to play a great game. It's a long way to go, and they're pros. But man, I wonder if Matthews will be back in the next game.
Yeah, I hope so, right? And Edmonton, that would be worrisome for Edmonton, right? Because they barely could contain the Leafs last night. And I will say this too, right? Like, Campbell played really, really well. It just seemed to be the Leafs took advantage of their opportunities and were able to score. Like that Nylander goal, man, it had eyes. It went through so many players to get to the back of the net. And same thing with the Hyman goal. It was kind of just placed in the perfect spot to get right into that net.
100%. You know, and I mean, and Marner's goal, I feel like that was Smith was pissed, after that Nylander goal. Like he was mad. Like he gave his own defender a tongue lashing. Am I wrong?
Oh man, he definitely did, or at least the stink eye, one or the other.
And so then right away, West Coast Tim sent me a message. We got to get shots on Smith. He's fuming, and Marner did moments later, and that went in again. You know, and that's where that you've got to be able to stay calm, right? You got to be able to shake things off, and I think that Smith was a victim of his own emotions there.
Well, man, you think after that Nylander goal, the second goal against Marner, man, 2-on-1, you have Tavares and Marner coming at you. Like, that has to be intimidating to an NHL goalie, that you have one of the who was one of the best players in the league a few years ago, and then you have Marner, who's one of the most skilled players in the league right now. Like, that is tough, because you know those guys can... Any option is a good option between those two.
Oh, big time, man, big time. And so, I mean, I hope we can carry this into the next game. Like Campbell, let's see him keep playing the way that he's playing. Like he has all the motivation in the world, right? Watching this boy play, and he hadn't played in a month. Came back and posted a big old egg, and faced over 30 shots. Yeah, this next game, I'm looking forward to seeing him in the net again. But with goalies in mind, did I see a picture of Hutchison having a new mask?
Yeah, he's got an all blue mask, I think.
So was it a lie that I heard rumor that it was something like a Potvin mask? Am I wrong? I fall victim of a stupid post?
I think it looks like a Potvin mask, because the mask he was wearing in the previous games was more white, and then the new one, I only saw pictures from a distance, and it was blue, and it looked similar to a Potvin mask. But
listen, I mean, I don't know how you think about stuff like that. It's not wearing a number. I think that is really cool. I think that if Hutchison's showing me anything, it's that he is able to embrace the history of the Toronto Maple Leafs. And maybe to him, Felix Potvin meant a lot. Maybe to him, that's why he's a goalie. I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe he's just doing it. Maybe it's just a fluke, but I don't think so. That's a Felix Potvin inspired mask. And I think it's pretty neat. I want Hutchison to do whatever the hell he needs to do to feel a part of this.
Well, you know what? We were talking about how Campbell is a good guy in the room too. I've heard the exact same thing about Hutchison this whole time. Like last year when he was doing poorly, apparently he still came into the room with a good attitude, and the guys still wanted to win for him. Like he wasn't being a drag on the team of, moping around saying like, oh, he lost another game, or he lost his fifth game in a row, or he was getting the bad starts, that Babcock was putting him in second on the back to back and things like that. He was always a good guy to have in the room, and right now they have two goalies that are both really good guys, and the team really likes in the room right now while Anderson is out. So I think that's a really good thing to have in the Leafs locker room, because being the goalie for the Toronto Maple Leafs, man, that has got to be one of the most stressful jobs in the NHL.
Big time, man. My little girls were saying that last night. Like I feel, my oldest girl Taryn said it to me. She goes, I feel bad when a goalie lets in a goal. I went, what do you mean? She goes, I feel bad for the goalie. And I went, why? What do you mean? Like she goes, just everyone's looking at him. Like it's on him. Like he was the last one there. And if it goes past him, it's all of a sudden because he let it in. It got past everyone else first.
Yep.
And I looked at her and I said, you're 9 years old. And that's a good thought. I like it. You know, yeah, the pressure in a goalie is nuts. Hats off to the goalies. Um, they're a different breed.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely they are, man. If you've met anyone who's a goalie, they are definitely a different cat.
I guess you have to be. You're going to sign up to have these guys wail hard rubber at you at 100 miles an hour. You got to be a different breed.
Yeah.
But Wes, we've talked a lot about these last games and the games coming up. I mean, you read posts all the time about trade speculations. You want to do any of that right now?
Sure, man. So the NHL trade deadline it's still a ways away. It's April 12th. But remember, any trades made with teams that are out of the division, it's going to be at least a 14-day quarantine. So who do you think of would be a good add to the Leafs this year?
Well, I mean, I don't know if we're going to see any real ads to the team this year, but if we're going to do fantasy of it, I mean,
Sure.
I'd love to see something like an Eric Stahl. I mean, do we need another guy like that? Maybe not. You've got Spezza, you got Thornton. Do you want to keep putting those pieces? My answer is we've got a lot of young pieces, so yes, I wouldn't mind it. I would take it. I like that kind of experience. We're not getting a guy to go on the first or second line.
No.
This would be a guy that's going to go on our third and fourth line. You want to have Eric Stahl, or do you want to have do you want Engvall? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll tell you right now, every day of the week, I will take a guy like Eric Stahl. That character, that experience, that respect, it only adds to the chemistry in the room.
And he's won too, right? Like he has won a Stanley Cup. It was a long time ago, so I think that would be a good add if you had Eric Stahl as third line center, right? Like you're not asking him to do something that he's not capable of, right? Like this year he's in Buffalo. He already has let's see here, 3 goals and 8 assists, and that's on Buffalo. Like he doesn't have any support, so he does have just this 1 year left at $3.5 million, so maybe the Leafs could work it out. I was looking at this guy, and this might be a bit of a surprise. What do you think of Bobby Ryan coming to the Leafs? He's 33, he could be a winger, he has 6 goals and 6 assists just for the rest of the year at $1 million.
For the record, I didn't realize that. I didn't know that his numbers were there. Good for him. Good for him. That's wicked. I love it. Talk about a guy taking his redemption card and cashing it in and doing well with it. I would take that, man. I would go for a Bobby Ryan. Now you'd have to vet the situation, make sure he's still doing great. And by the looks of those numbers, I hope that he is, and it looks like he is. Hats off to you, Bobby Ryan. I would love to see that. That's a good call. I mean, I keep hearing, Forsberg, Philip Forsberg, this or that. Well, I don't know about you, man, but we're pretty tight up to the cap.
Yeah.
I'm not looking to fill more roles on the top 2 lines.
I would think Philip Forsberg might be a next year move when his contract is expiring, because I know Nashville right now is having a fire sale. Like there's only very few guys that are considered to be untouchables. So I do think Philip Forsberg is a bit of a stretch. Like it's just too much money. We're too close to the cap. There'd have to be a substantial player going out to fit him in.
Or are we going to maybe realize if they do postpone the draft, like we had said in a few shows ago, if they do postpone that draft and do 2 drafts at once, does it make those draft picks for the 18-year-olds instead of the 17-year-olds, that much more valuable. How much of that salary would they retain? There's no hope in hell that this guy's coming to Toronto. So
No.
I'm not even going to keep going on about this.
No. That it would have to be a very complicated one. That one I was looking at, as well as Ryan Donato, 24, San Jose. He's a center. He has 3 goals, 5 assists. He's been bounced around a bit. You know, he is a young guy. He's getting paid $1.9 million. I think maybe this might be, and he's a restricted free agent. He's not a full UFA at the end of the season. I don't know, man. Maybe something to do with that, because like the Leafs could use a young center, I guess, a third line. Like Kerfoot's been very good this year, but are we getting the best, or is this what Kerfoot is?
Yeah, no, that's fair. And there seems to be, and for years and years now, there seems to be. I've got right away. I had 4 different deals come up in my head. There's been a very good line of communication between Toronto and San Jose.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of players get traded back and forth, signed as free agents outside of going back and forth. Marlowe, Thornton. I got Mark Bell came into my head of all names. Toskala, like they've had a lot of deals with San Jose. So I don't know. Yeah, like that would be nice too. That would be nice too. But I've got a question for you. I'm not quite familiar with how the quarantine rules work going as a Canadian or from Canadian soil onto the States. What are those rules? Like, are there rules, or is that a league rule?
So going to the States, it varies on which state you're going to, as far as I know. So it can be literally anything. You'd have to really look into it. But coming back to Canada, I know it's that 14-day minimum. Like I think, what's his name that came to the Jets? He was in the quarantine for more than 14 days. So you got to take that into consideration. And like, don't get me wrong here. You know, most of these guys that we're talking about, if we're talking about like Bobby Ryan and Eric Staal, the Leafs could wait 14 days for those guys. It's not like they need them to come into the lineup right away and start contributing. Because to me, for 1 year, the most I would want to trade away would be a guy like Jimmy Vesey and like a 3rd round pick, just to make the money work more than anything else. Like none of these trades are changing up the Leafs chemistry, in the first 2 lines. Like this is really kind of just getting depth, right? Like I wouldn't even trade a 2nd round pick for Eric Staal or Bobby Ryan. Like you just can't afford to do that, because next year you think Buffalo and Detroit are going to be in the same division as the Leafs, so you can't give them too much for these players.
No, and draft picks are going to be very, very, very valuable, more valuable than they've ever been, and not just because of the 2 years in a row, because of a flat cap.
Yep.
Like who the hell saw a flat cap coming, and for who the hell knows how long?
Yeah.
So it's going to be for a few years at least.
Oh yeah.
So those early level contracts are going to be key to have on your payroll. You're going to need to have somebody that's getting paid $700,000 or whatever the hell it is to produce. You need you just do, like,
and that's why
we're going to have to either want to.
Yeah, and that's why to me, like the Leafs, they have their 1st and 2nd rounders for the next 3 years. They can't get rid of those unless they are getting a bona fide stud coming back, right? Like those picks are so important, like you said, for so many reasons. It comes to the flat cap, it comes to just having players coming up through the system that are going to contribute, and you need to develop players, right? The Marlies are a good team and in a good spot, and they do get good coaching, and apparently they're one of the best funded AHL teams too. So you do get a lot of perks being a Leaf prospect.
No, that's huge. And I mean, it's these prospects, these guys that we're drafting, they become not just valuable on paper like that. It's how you can actually approach building and retooling and tweaking your team as you go, because it allows you to make a move if you need to make a move. You know what I mean? Like maybe you're weak on D, but you don't have I don't know. It's going to come in handy across the board.
Yep.
To have a deep system. I mean, look in baseball. Look at the Jays. Like as soon as AA thought that we had a chance to do something, he emptied the cupboards, and we had a couple of really fun years, didn't we?
We absolutely did.
Like prospects are huge in all sports.
Yeah, like it gives you options. Having picks, having prospects, that definitely helps, right? So I think The Leafs need to be smart because, man, there were a few years where it was draft schmaft, man. They were throwing away first-round picks for nothing. And then when the salary cap came into place, that really kind of ruined the Leafs for a long, long time, and we had some dark years there.
Yes, we did. Before we move on from that, I just want to say hats off to the league for maybe getting something right here. I like if what my question holds true there, like I had said, so it varies from state to state if you can go from Canada to the States and if you need a quarantine or not. But to my understanding, the NHL has pretty much made it where they're operating the league as if it's Canada. Do you know what I mean? Like everybody's on the same rules. Like because it wouldn't be fair for Toronto to make a trade with a player in Tampa Bay and they get to use our player tomorrow night and we don't get to use their player for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Just because it's different rules at that state. You know, like it's already like that on taxation purposes for the payrolls and stuff, but they can't really do much about that. But they could do something here, and they did. They evened the playing field across the board. I like that.
Oh, good to know. I was unaware of that. But how about we wrap up and we go to this day in hockey history? So, in 1993, Teemu Selanne became the third rookie in NHL history to score 50 goals in a season. He actually had a 4-goal game to help the Winnipeg Jets beat the Minnesota North Stars 7-6 at the Winnipeg Arena. Man, like he scored his 48th at 8:53 in the first period, his 49th and 50 late in the second period, and his 51st 7 minutes into the third period. Selanne was fantastic when he was a Winnipeg Jet, eh?
Oh man, I could picture him, throwing his glove up into the air, shooting it with his stick or whatever the hell that was. You remember? Like,
yep.
He was electrifying, and I mean, he I know he played in Anaheim for years too, but my goodness, like when you think of him, like you could just picture him in that Jets uniform. Like he just fits it. He was magic that year. I'd never seen anything like it. Don't know if we'll ever see anything like that again. Like I can't remember what he ended up with that year for goals, man.
He ended
but it was
with over 70 goals. I think he has the NHL record for goals by a rookie. And we thought, remember when Matthews his rookie season he had 40, right? And that was like the best rookie season any Leaf had. Selanne almost doubled that.
Big time, man. Now, who do you think Selanne cheers for? Does he cheer for the Jets? Does he cheer for the Coyotes? Is it the Coyotes that are the Jets?
The Coyotes, yeah. I would think he would cheer for the Jets and Anaheim because like they don't really face each other very often, right? So like you can always have more than one team. So that's what I think he does.
I think he'd be smart too, because then you can collect endorsements from both teams.
Exactly.
Just kidding. It's not all money driven. And Teemu Selanne seemed like a guy that wasn't. I liked watching him play hockey. He was a cool cat.
He definitely was. Well, we previewed the 2 games coming against the Oilers. What do you think of their game coming up against the Vancouver Canucks on Thursday, March 4th?
Just stay sharp. Don't take a night off. That's all that I got to say. Like the Leafs got to just keep playing their game and not play down to their opponents. That's the only thing that I'm really worried about in that game is just play your game. If you play your game, then there should be absolutely no ifs, ands, or buts about how this game should turn out.
Yeah, I do think if Anderson isn't back yet, I think that is going to be the prime game for Hutch to start, and it is a chance to really, really put Vancouver in your dust if you can beat them in the first game of that series. And like they're going to be so far behind the Leafs if that happens that they don't even have to worry about them anymore.
Yeah, no, fair enough on that, man.
Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up unless you have anything to say before we sign off here today, Scott.
No, buddy, I don't. I just appreciate anybody that's watching this. Thank you very much. It goes a long way. I know that Wes and I are just having a good time doing this, but if you're watching it and having a good time watching it, thank you very much. And if you've watched to this point in the video, friggin' A, man. Thank you a lot.
Awesome. Like and subscribe. And if you want to get in touch with us, email us at bluecollarhockeytalk@gmail.com. And like we always say, go Leafs, go.
Go Leafs, go, buddy. Take care, guys.